If you have a client who have bought the house last year, using their agent, you should go to HCAT website to see if they got the new value or not. This is another way for you to keep in touch with your client and get some business and save their money. You go to hcad.org, it's our HCAT website. You, under real property search, I think we all should be familiar how to use that website, right? You search. You can either pull out by their name or by their address. When you pull it out, you want to see if their 2019 value came out or not. If your buyer's house value came out for 2019, if it's more than what they paid for in 2018 when they bought the house, you need to contact your buyer and say, hey, look, I'm here to save you money. Your value just came out. You should receive a notice from HCAT, and you need to do the iFile online with the iSettle option, and you can just submit your closing statement, and they will lower your property value to what you purchased in 2018. Okay? Even for the client that purchased up now in 2019, you can do the same thing until the property is certified. I just closed the deal in March, and the value came out, it's higher than what we paid for. So I call my client and says, since you just bought it this year, you may or may not receive the notice, because the notice for 2019 could be sent to the previous owner or get forwarded. So you need to contact HCAT directly and ask them how to protest, but you have the right to do so because you just bought the property in 2019. So that's one way for all the clients that you done business this year or last year. And if it were your listing and you want to catch that buyer that buy your listing, I think that's a great way to do it too. So that's the easiest. The first easiest one for protesting is for people who bought the house last year. You can immediately see the value for 2019. Some property will still say pending. That means they haven't come out yet. Okay, so you just have to go online to see whether it says it's value came out or not. If your client's been in a house for many, many years, they should have homestead exemption. We all know if you pull out HCAT, there are two numbers on there: market value and appraised value. Appraised value is what you pay tax down there. Market value is whatever HCAT said your house is worth. Those two numbers don't have to match. If your client has been in a house for say 10, 15 years, you might see a big gap between the appraised value and the market value, because they can bump the market value as much as they want every year, but appraised value is capped at 10%. Sometimes they raise them, sometimes they don't. So that's two different numbers you got to look at. When you receive the notice in the mail like this, you will have one for appraised value, one for market value on the paperwork. And the green one is what you need to do the file online. You will have an iFile number on your upper left corner. Okay? One thing I've learned the last couple of years that I've been keeping an eye on, you can do something called iSettle. I said earlier, I have noticed for people who have closing statement that bought the house, the iSettle, that's easy. But if you want to actually protest your value lower, I don't think iSettle is as good as actually going there in person. Even with iSettle, you can upload our CMA, you can do explanation, but it's a computerized. So when they respond to you, they'll send you an email saying, we offer you this value. If you don't agree, then you go straight to the ARB board. It's called Appraisal Review Board. If you don't do the iSettle, you can still file online, give all your reasoning, and tell them what's the reason you're protesting, give them the value. They will actually then email you back, set up a one-on-one appointment with the HCAT appraiser. That way you can go in with all the data in your hand and you can talk to a human face to face. I find people who go in has a better luck at lowering the value than doing the iSettle online. So one is time, that you do it on the computer, you don't go into person, hope they'll give you a good number. The other ones, you do have to get the appointment, drive down to HCAT, meet the appraiser one-on-one. So those are two separate ways, but I recommend the human factor of it. HCAT give you, on this screen sheet, HCAT give you a lot of different reasons for you to protest your property. You can check as many as you want to. The common ones that we use are incorrect appraised market value. That means has to do with what the market is say your house is worth. The other popular one is called value is unequal compared with other properties. That's a second one of them. And that has to do with what HCAT's their thoughts is, if you're on the same street and the house is similar, whatever, you and your neighbor should value similar. It shouldn't be house down the street here values, it's about 50% of yours, or yours is 50% more than neighbor. So they should be about pretty similar. So you can look at your neighbors. The thing with that is, you need to promote and have your neighbor fight their property value every year if they can, because they keep it low, you can keep yours low. I've been running into issues that neighbors, everybody get raised higher, and you're having a little hard time getting it down. Another thing that people do, when we look at those tax records on HCAT website, they give us description of building data. So a lot of times, if you look up, they'll say how many bedroom, how many bathroom, condition of property. There's a bunch of stuff. The condition of property itself, that could be protested and changed with HCAT. If you go to HCAT website, go, I think, under the frequent FAQ part of it, or there's also a form section. They'll tell you they have different gradings. Under the physical condition, they have from unsound, which tear down, poor, fair, average, and good. You can actually get your house condition from HCAT downgraded from good to average. If you can make that happen, you can actually lower your property value. What that entail will be probably taking picture of the exterior house, any repair that needed for the house. Then you can take pictures and saying, hey, I got rotted wood, my roof is 20 years old, so you can use that as one way of lowering your actual physical condition of your property. And typically, I think I've seen average. My own house is actually fair. We got it down. And then another one that affects the value is called, I think they call it like building class. A is excellent, and then B is good, C is above average, average and fair. Once again, that has to do with condition of property. If you can prove that your house is not in that great condition, then you can get it down. So you need to go to HCAT website, pull out your own house to see what they describe your house. Any mistake on your number of bedroom, number of bathroom, you need to go get that corrected. If they say you have a pool and you don't, you need to go get that corrected. HCAT do have very good satellite picture of your house. So if they say you have a pool and you told them, no, you lie, they'll catch it. Just FYI. They will tell you, oh, you just put in a shed recently, or you just, because they can look at your satellite. But you can use that. So looking at your own house and look at the condition of property, you might be able to get that adjusted and get that low. That will be one part of the reason to get your property lowered.
So your house condition actually has to be lower, or like what is the matrix people use to decide whether it's happening?
So under the physical condition code, they read the dwelling with a physical condition rating of 3 average is a dwelling that shows a sign of normal wear and tear. So that way, if your house got a crappy roof, take a picture. It says, hey, my roof is not that good, and see if HCAT will lower the condition. HCAT website do have a lot of valuable information. You might want to spend a little time and study on it and see what they say. So the first option, incorrect appraised market value. That's what we do with the CMA. So you pull out your house, you look at your own house, what the 2019 value is, you look at your square feet, you do the value divided by per square feet. Let's say your house is appraised at $300,000, you got 3,000 square feet, that's $100 per square feet. That's probably low. And then so you look at in your neighborhood, what's being sold in last year. HCAT will take sale data from January 2018 up to February 1st of 2019. So it's about 13 months period. So you pull all the sold data in the neighborhood that sold, and you're looking at the houses that's similar to your size, and you see how much they sell for. If the value is actually a lot less than what HCAT says your house is worth, then you're looking at the average, or you look at the number, and then you use that route to say, hey, if average only sell $80 square feet, you're charging me $100, then it's incorrect. Based on my size, I should be at $240 instead of $300. Do you get it? So it's based on, the first option is incorrect. A price market value is based on the actual sale in the neighborhood. Some neighborhood is doable, some neighborhood is not. I've noticed in our area price has gone up, and HCAT value will go down. A lot of people say, oh no, HCAT only go up every year. Terraces on Memorial, I watched it from last year's 479, this year's 419. My client bought 386. So we're gonna go ahead and get a protest down to 386. But they do go down, but even they go down, you can still protest. Another thing I tell some of my homeowner and client is, we as a realtor, we can see a lot more data too. So even if the neighborhood itself doesn't give you some value that works well, you could maybe go outside the neighborhood a little bit, close enough to see if you can find sales comp. One thing I find helpful for us is we get those hotness index ratio. So for example, in an NH corridor, my argument is, January of last year, we're at 4.5 months worth of inventory. That's January last year. January of this year, we're at 5.7 months worth of inventory. Inventory has gone up almost a month, so why is my property appreciating 10%? Doesn't make any sense. To me, that's one argument. So that's something that you probably can share with your client, depends on where they live, or even look at your own house to see where they're at. To me, that will be an argument. Like, market is not as strong as they were before. That's one. The second one we use a lot is called value is unequal compared with other properties. On HCAT, you can search a series of addresses, not just one. So in this case, you're basically comparing you and your neighbors. So I will say, for example, I'm using my client's address. His address is 13006 Wickershed. So when you go to HCAT, you search by address. They'll give you two options. One is the specific address. The other one is a street range. So you try with 100 block. It's 13,006. So it's 13,000 to 13,100. So you'll see in that 100 block, within that 100 number, how many houses comes up, because those are going to be your immediate neighbor on that same street. When you do that, HCAT will give you a list of properties. I think I'll hand this out. I think I made this. I'll hand this out. You should have some of that. Yeah, you don't want. So, easy if I have that. So the first page, when you get a handout, the first page is show you how to plug in the address. The second page shows you the list of addresses that on that block. And you can see everybody's value on there. So what you do when you get the list of the, and sometimes you feel like that may not be enough, you can do it to a 200 block, just making sure whatever the block you're searching is in your neighborhood. You can search this, like if it's like a vertical and horizontal, you just search one street here, maybe one street here. The street that close to you or in your neighborhood considers your neighbor in the subdivision. So when they give you a list like this, it does require a little computer skill set, folks. You do have to copy and paste. You can just copy and paste this whole box. Okay, put it in an Excel spreadsheet. What I will do after that is, I will divide, I don't think I have enough of this, but just pass it around. I will basically, when I put them in an Excel spreadsheet, I will divide the market value by the size of it, the appraised value by the size of it, so I can see the per square feet unit for each house.
Can you repeat that? Divide market value?
So I divide the market value with the square footage, and the appraised value with the square footage. My goal is to see, the goal of doing this is you want to see your house per square feet, how does that compare with your neighbors? So I know appraiser told us not using per square feet, but to me, when it comes to HCAT, that's the best thing I can do, is to compare with neighbors. So you will divide it by square feet. With an Excel spreadsheet, you can really sort it out based on, I think, okay, I have this one sorted out based on per square feet value. And so if you see, the yellow is my subject property. The green portion of it are the houses that's similar to his size. Okay, from 2,400, 2,300, 2,700, you can similar size. And you can see the variation of per square feet from his is at 135 to a little closer to 118. If I average that, it's 306. He is appraised this year at 326 and 324. So I told my client, I said, last year it was 295. If I were you, I will go back again this year was 295. Showing him, you know, even though this looked a little bit higher than 295, but once again, not everybody got their value raised. Our market is not doing well, so you can try to go back with the last year number. That's a lot of my recommendation with people who got their value bumped for this year, especially in energy quarter. So this is the one that, this is how you do when it's called unequal appraised value to your neighbors. And I only use that one block. If it doesn't give you good data on the street that you're on, like Judy, you might use the entire neighborhood and you got a smaller street. For some people, they can use 2 streets. As long as it's close by. The goal is though, you do have to make sure it's similar in size. So if you're 2,400 square feet, it needs to be somewhere around like 22 on the lower side and maybe 27 on the higher side. You don't need to be, like if 3,000 square feet won't cut it, and 2,000 square feet won't cut it. So you need to keep it close like that. One thing I do notice is some of the property they're still appraising, so you don't have all the data out yet. Some of the ones that you originally want to use, but now they're reappraising it. So that you do have to do a little bit of homework when it comes to the with your neighbors.
What value do you use? I mean, do you have a percentage of what you find is the market value to what you decide after you've just divided by the square footage? What do you have a percentage or anything that you say if it's this much over or under, you should be protesting it? Or do you look at whatever number it is?
I think, how do I say this? Like the house that I'm working on, like my client's house, last year was at 295. If I were really selling his house today, 295 is probably the most I could get him. He is on Gentry side and Wickersham, like the first street coming in from Westheimer. So that's a crappy location. And and I told him, I said, if I could sell it for 295 today, probably is a good number. But I can't get you for 324, that's for sure. And so a lot of time you do look at it to see, is that real or not, even for us as a realtor? And so I told him that's not possible. So I gave him all the data, says, if I were you, I will tell HCAT I want 295, and they'll do the iFile and fill in a number, 295, and they'll get back to you with an email setting up an appointment with you. Then you can go in with actual data in your hand to meet with the HCAT person to go over the reasoning. You can do iSettle. My issue with iSettle is you can't, writing everything you want to say. That's the problem. There's more to data. There's more to just a piece of paper you upload. A human interaction gives you more of getting your property valued, I think. I mean, property value lowered, I think. That's the way I look at it. Those were the two most popular. The rest of it doesn't really apply to us very well because it's maybe a mistake done by the HCAT. But I would say the property description or property condition, it will be, like I said, this number of bedroom, bathroom, or the condition of your property. If your property is in disrepair, get quotes, take a picture. If your house actually needs foundation repair, you haven't done it, take a picture of the crack of your wall and have a foundation repair quote. So you can go in and say, hey, look, my property needs a bunch of repair and this is how much it's gonna cost me. We actually got our slab changed to crack slab. So we get our property value. Value lowered. We had the floor teared up and we sold it cracked. So we took a picture and says, hey, we have a cracked slab. And so they're like, okay. So you can, whatever information you can provide, the more data you have on your own house, the picture, the information, the better off you are with the HCAT person. You have about probably 10 minutes, I would say, with the HCAT appraiser. So here's the process. You go in, you present your data, okay? You give him a number, I said 295, he says, no, I'll give you 310. You're like, no, I'm not happy with 310. So he's like, it's fine. Then they'll schedule an appointment to meet with the appraisal review board. We call it ARB. It's a little bit more formal. Have anybody been to ARB before? So good. So most of you know how that works. It's 3 citizens that work for HCAT, but they're just regular folks like you and I. The HCAT appraiser and us. When you go to protest, you have to bring 4 sets of data, because each board member to get a copy, the HCAT person gets a copy, and when you go, everything is recorded when you sit in an ARB meeting, so be on your best behavior. And so you present your case first, the HCAT person will present their case, then the 3-member, so it's going to be whether you take it. If you don't, you'll go above it. But I haven't had anybody gone on arbitration, all that stuff. So it would just be, I think, ARB. When you go to ARB, let's say if the HCAT guy gave you a 310, you didn't take it. The ARB person gave you a 350. Everything they gave you earlier it's gone now. So if the ARB person gave you a 315, that's what you're going to take. So just so you know, the first offer, if you don't take it, it's off the table. And then second, it's then an ARB kind of thing.
They cannot increase more than 10%.
On the appraised value is no more than 10% on the homesteaded property. But market value, they can go up as much as they want to. I have a client over 65 in Ashford Village. Her market value is 194. Her appraised value is 135. And I told her not to bother. I said, because I cannot find you any number that will get you lower than what you got. Because the goal is to get the appraised value down. But her appraised value is so low that there's no point. There's no point to protest. So you have to look at both numbers, but if your appraised value is a whole lot lower than your market value, there's not a lot of point to really protest either way. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you make more than one appointment?
Like for one
For
property?
example, if you said, oh, I got a crack, I'm gonna go in there. And then you find something else wrong after you already made that one appointment and been there?
I think the correction could be made with HCAT. The protesting, you only get one appointment. But I think if you are making any kind of correction, you might want to call HCAT office and say, hey, look, there's a mistake on my description in my HCAT account. How can I get that corrected? I would say you call them. By the way, the square footage is within 10%, HCAT won't do a thing about it.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
On the square footage, if you're 10% smaller, 10% within a 10% smaller or bigger, HCAT won't correct it. That's 10%. That's what they say. But HCAT want data, so if you can bring pictures, repairs, just show how bad your house is.
Can you repeat that 10% of what?
Okay, 10% in the square footage. So 3,000 square feet, 3,300 or 2,700, anything in between, they're really not going to correct it. Rental property, if it's homesteaded, it's 10% capped. If it's not homesteaded, it's rental property, they can go up as much as they wanted to. My condo, it was $36,000 for the last 5 years. I just got a bill at $55,000 in 1 year. So I'm gonna have to look at what can I do to get that price lowered.
So you cannot protest the rental?
Yes, no, you can protest everything. Your rental, your condo, your anything. I think one thing we might run into a little bit tougher for the Memorial area is like where Mike lives, the lot. HCAT gives, if HCAT raise a lot of lot value, that doesn't give you a lot of room to protest on the house itself, because They got smart. Dirt is a dirt. You can't say my dirt is not as good as neighbor's dirt, but the house itself makes a difference. So we noticed that when in the Memorial area, when the dirt value goes up, it's that make the case a little bit harder. To actually
When they
get the
go up
value.
significantly, couldn't you take just like a report from HAR saying that in the last year, if property values period haven't gone up more than 2%, so how can you raise the land up 6% or 10%?
Well, but
Can you take that kind of data like you did from the sheet?
I think you can, but at the same time, they'll be like, hey, if the house are sold much higher than what you're appraised at, they could say, hey, but look at last year's sale, because HCA has the same data, so we do, they be like, hey, the sales value is a lot higher. We're not raising your actual value to the today's market. We're raising your dirt.
Yeah.
Depends on where the value sits.
But I've seen something like
Yeah.
where the dirt was like increased like $125,000,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
way too much, I
Yes.
think.
And sometimes, if you want to go
Overall, I mean, like in the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, and sometimes if you want to spend more time and do a little bit more homework and get better at this, you can. Because some people will protest on the information on your own house. You'll see a land value and an improvement value. I've seen some people are quite good that everybody's land value is the same. So they're looking at everybody else's house, the improvement value. They're protesting on the house itself and took away the dirt. And that requires a little bit more homework because they got to go in to see each property, see what everybody's at, and then you got to probably compile your own Excel spreadsheet to see, okay, how does everybody's houses compare? Because now dirt is the same, the baseline is the same. Oh, now all you got is a house. I haven't done it. It's just too much work. I just do a general whole neighborhood and see how the neighborhood does and stuff. But you will run into once in a while people are over 65. They've been in the house for 40 years. Their value are just so low that there's no place you can go. I mean, I have one of those. So, did I make it clear, or at least give you some basic idea of how this is done?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. Question.
It's easy to dispute a bedroom, say it's an older home. This is my home. It's considered to be a 4-bedroom in HCAD, but there's one of the bedrooms is like an attic space. It's got a very large slope, and to me, it's not a bedroom. It's not sleeping quarters. And according to the code, it doesn't have the window big enough